everybody. This is Carl. Welcome to Carl's Opinion, and this is our Friday night, late night live call-in show. Although not too late. Normally I go on later, but HA generally goes on late, and that usually was my time. So, and I like watching the show, so I cut my hours back from normally going on at around 10 or a little bit later, going on now to like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So welcome aboard, everybody. Glad to see you guys here, and a lot to get to. As you saw in the headlines, let me just double-check something. Make sure we have the music off. Let's see. Yet, testing. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. All right. Yeah, I just want to make sure we have the music off and everything. Some of that music stays on, so I just want to make sure we got it off. All right, good deal. So, all right. So you saw in the what I put in the headlines there in the description, and I was talking about the whistleblower, and I had the headline there about Hunter Biden, and basically by law, this guy is not a whistleblower, and that's Eric Ciaramella. I'm half Italian. I should know this. Ciaramella. There we go. Ciaramella. There we go. Eric Ciaramella. So anyway, by law, this guy is not a whistleblower under 50 U.S.C. 3033 K5. And you know, that's funny about that statute. I know it's just a coincidence. I'm not a conspiracy nut or anything. But you remember Joe Biden's text to 30330, right? And the statute we're talking about regarding the whistleblower is 3033. And he's saying text to 30330, and the statute regarding the whistleblower is 3033. So I find that kind of amusing. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I generally don't go down that road. But still, that is kind of an interesting coincidence. But there we are. So. Let's see. And then, guys, if the audio doesn't sound good or anything, just let me know back in the in the chat. It's one of those things like if you have a spot on your tie, some people don't feel like telling you, hey, you got a spot on your tie. You walk around with a spot on your tie all day. So if the audio doesn't sound good, you need a little bit louder or something, or it's too hot, coming in too hot. Just say, hey, man, audio's coming in too hot, coming in too low. Got a hiss in the background, whatever you want to do. I like to pay a lot of attention to the audio. So. If you guys haven't been on it before, feel free to say, hey, you got a spot on your tie. Meaning, hey, audio's whatever. So, all right, so let's take a look at the statute that we're referencing here, 50 U.S.C. 3033 K5. And the whistleblower cited K subsection A for giving him the ability to report it to the Inspector General. But the whistleblower statute, and I'll get to it right here. Let's go ahead and get to it. Okay. There we are. All right, so this is, and I'll just run all the way up to the top on it so we can see the actual statute here. U.S. Code Section 3033 under Title 50. So you have like different titles for the United States Code, and then under those titles you have different sections. This is Title 50, U.S. Code Section 3033. And it talks about the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community. This gives him his authority, gives a whole bunch of definitions in there, what he's supposed to do, what he's supposed to not do. So it's an important code section. And with the whistleblower cites, he cited, in the initial letter that his attorney wrote for him, saying why he was fitting within the whistleblower statute, initially cites, of course, U.S. Code Section 3033, and he cited subsection K, subsection 5, subsection A. I know to everybody out there who's not a lawyer, that's like no fun. I've been practicing law for 25 years. We kind of get into this kind of stuff. Sorry, that's what we do. We it's like we write these things and then confusing enough so only we can understand them. It's like I always compare attorneys to auto mechanics. I always say we're like auto mechanics. Oh, there's Luke. Hey, Luke. But I always say we're like auto mechanics in that you mean to me like when I take my car to an auto mechanic and then he explains to me what's wrong with it, and I look at him like, I know this guy's not telling me everything. It's like only they know like this secret code language they have. It's like attorneys, we're the same way. It's like only we know exactly what we're explaining to you, and when we explain it, like people go, oh great, thanks. Your word is so damn confusing. Like we can't understand it. But this code section actually was written pretty good, actually, to be honest with you. So anyway, let's skip down to. So the whole point of this is he's saying, okay, I'm a whistleblower. I'm entitled to all these protections because under this code section, if I see misconduct or something, and I report it to the inspector general, then that inspector general, if it's known as an urgent concern, and the definition of that. Excuse me, definition for that, and we'll get to in a second. If it's an urgent concern, then the Inspector General has 14 days to report it to the Director of National Intelligence, used to be to the CIA Director before 9/11, and then he has, I believe, a week to get it over to the intelligence committees of both the House and the Senate. So the whole point of this was saying he was trying to fit into this whistleblower statute. So one, he get all these protections. Two, he could then divulge classified information to the inspector general, and they could then divulge classified information like the phone call is classified to Congress. But the point is he never fit into that statute. He's just some guy who didn't like the policy, who disagreed with the policy, and was going to report it on up. But if he did, he could be charged with, treason, disclosing classified information. So they try to torture himself into this whistleblower statute. When you read the letter from the Inspector General to the Director of National Intelligence, he just did a copy and paste off the letter that the attorney, the complaint that was written by Tramello's attorney to the Inspector General. You can tell as an attorney when the law and the facts really don't fit, because you really just kind of you chase all kinds of things. And that letter, that complaint was like a brief. Mark Levin said it was like a brief, but it was like a brief that they knew they didn't have the law on their side or the facts on their side to say this guy's a whistleblower, so they just kind of went all over the place. When you read it, you could read as an attorney, you could read the desperation in that initial complaint. So anyway, let's take a look down here, and we're going to scroll down pretty far. Let me see, make sure I don't lose my place. See, there's A, C, D, E, F, G. G's big. H, subsection I, subsection J, and here we go, getting to subsection K. Yeah, I know. But anyway, reports. So then we got to get to subsection K5. So we'll go down to K1, 2, there's 2, 3, there's 3, 4, there's 4, and here's 5. Okay, so he cited initially subsection 5, and this is where it gets important. And you can see words here that have legal definitions. So in subsection 5, subsection A. So this is 50 U.S.C. 3033, subsection K, subsection 5, and this is subsection A. Okay, an employee of an element of the intelligence community, an employee assigned or detailed to an element of the intelligence community, or an employee of a contractor to the intelligence community who intends to report to Congress a complaint or information with respect to, now, an urgent concern, may report such complaint or information to the Inspector General. Now, this is where it gets important. You'll see here, urgent concern. It's in blue. Okay, within the body of the statute, urgent concern is not just like you and I having a conversation on the street like, hey, I have an urgent concern that car over there looks like it's going to hit that other car. No, this is a specific definition within the body of this statute. So you see here the word urgent concern there, okay? And it's within the specific body of this statute, urgent concern. So we say, okay, so in other words, in order for this employee of the intelligence community to be able to report something to the Inspector General to be classified as a whistleblower, it has to be a matter of urgent concern, respect to an urgent concern. So now we got to say, okay, what does urgent concern mean? This is important. So we go down to where we find the definition is subsection 5, subsection G. So here we go. Z, D, E, F, G. And you'll see right here. In this paragraph, it says right here, in this paragraph, the term urgent concern means any of the following. Okay? And this is why this Tramello guy does not fit into this whistleblower statute. It's specific to the intelligence community. It was written back in the 90s. It was under Bill Clinton. It's been amended a couple of times. And so here we go. So it starts off with, okay, a serious or flagrant problem, abuse, violation of law or executive order, or deficiency relating to the funding, administration, or operation of an intelligence activity within, now this is the important part, within, here we go, okay, within the responsibility and authority of the Director of National Intelligence involving classified information, but does not include differences of opinions concerning public policy matters. Now, the public policy matter, that could be an argument why he's not a whistleblower, but it's not a strong argument because, I mean, it obviously wasn't disagreement over public policy, but that wouldn't be a slam dunk. You know, if you're going to swing for the fences. Okay. You know, so anyway, best compliment I ever got was from a prosecutor who told me, you know, Carl, when you swing, I got to pay attention because you're not swinging to get on base. When you swing, you're swinging to hit a home run. So let's see if we can hit a home run on this one. So, okay, so in other words, urgent concern has to refer to activity within the responsibility and authority of the Director of National Intelligence. In other words, you're diming somebody else out, okay? You're saying, hey, this guy, a person, somebody, is doing something that is an abuse, violation of law or executive order or deficiency relating to the funding, administration, or operation of an intelligence activity within the responsibility and authority of the Director of National Intelligence. Now, here's the deal. The Director of National Intelligence works for the President of the United States. Okay, he is within the authority and responsibility of the chief executive, to wit, the president. Okay, the president is not within the responsibility and authority of the Director of National Intelligence. He's not. And when you read that complaint, that brief that was written by the attorneys, who now we know all kinds of wonderful things about that attorney, that, you know, basically 3 days after Trump got inaugurated, he's tweeting out, you know, the resistance is here, the deep state, you know, all these things that when we talk about, they say, oh, you guys are talking these conspiracy theories. Well, this guy's actually writing it out. This guy's an attorney, and he's a serious attorney. I mean, this is a serious attorney. He's been practicing law for a long time. He's not somebody to be taken lightly. He knows his words matter, and his choice of words matter. As attorneys, our words matter a lot. And that's what we get paid to do. We get paid to write specifically. We get paid to talk specifically. Oh, hey, Rocky. How you doing there, man? Let me just give you a little quick shout out here, Rock. Hold on. You know, hold on, guys. There you go. But you know, so we get paid to, you know, we choose our words carefully. And so when somebody's even an attorney, they put it on a tweet, you know, they're saying, oh, the resistance is going to lead to impeachment, CNN is going to lead the way. This guy's already looking for a reason to try to get rid of Donald Trump. Okay, you know, he's part of, and again, when I talked about the deep state in the video I did 2 videos ago, what I said was, you know, the deep state isn't like this club. It's not like they have a deep state convention. They meet, like, you know, in Philadelphia at a convention center downtown, and everybody gets together and they share deep state stories. What the deep state is a collection of like-minded individuals. These are government workers, civil servants, who think they know best, and they're not very highly educated, not very smart. We're looking at these guys. A lot of these guys have just like bachelor degrees. Now, a bachelor degree, if you don't have, you know, any college, it's like, well, that's a lot. But if you're a professional and you're planning on going to college, you need a college degree to get a job. A bachelor degree is like, and I was a carpenter, it's like being a third period apprentice, okay, if you're in the union. It's like you're not a journeyman, okay? A bachelor's degree just gets your foot in the door. It doesn't really get your foot in the door. All a bachelor's degree, I didn't even go to my graduation for my bachelor's because I knew I had 3 more years of law school. So I wasn't like, yay, you know, I graduated. No, I knew I had 3 more years left to go, and I wasn't jumping up and down about that. So having a bachelor's degree doesn't make you very smart. And a lot of these people that work here, they have bachelor's degrees maybe, and they get to feel important, and they think, you know, people should listen to them. You hear a lot of the criticism, like about even Trump using Giuliani. He's like, oh, he's going around the State Department. He's going around us. He's not listening to our policy. It's like we're not in the loop. Like you heard Taylor testified, like, you know, I wasn't in the loop, and he felt like really pissed off about that, like he was offended because he wasn't kept in the loop. Like they want this power. They want to know where the bodies are buried. They want to feel important. It's like, we're back to what I was saying about the auto mechanic and lawyers, right? It's like an ego kind of thing. You want to feel like we know something you don't, and we should be in the loop. And so a lot of these complaints these guys have is Trump didn't keep these guys in the loop because Trump didn't need them. Trump didn't need to go to the State Department and say, hey, tell me about President Xi in China. Trump's been doing business in China for decades, and Xi, even before he became premier dictator, whatever, he was a player over there, and most likely Trump had to rub shoulders with this guy, rub elbows with this guy a couple of times, while he was over there, and he knows all the guys. He doesn't say, hey, tell me about the guys in Saudi Arabia. He's done, or the guys in the Gulf states. He built hotels over there. He knows these guys, so he doesn't have to go to them and say, hey, what's your advice on this? Okay, he didn't have to ask, State Farm. Okay, tell me about Vladimir Putin. Well, he was doing, he was doing the Miss World contest, Miss Universe contest. He's running to all these people, and he takes his own counsel, and that pisses off people who I would refer to as the deep state. It pisses them off because they don't get to be in charge. But anyway, so here's the important thing. So this guy that everybody thought we can't disclose his name, and it's been disclosed now by numerous media sources, Washington Examiner. Multiple places online, but definitely Washington Examiner put his name up there. Real Clear Investigations put his name up there. I think Real Clear Politics also has his name up there. And so he's not a secret, but the president can't say his name. Like, oh, look, you did something bad. Congress people can't say his name. Oh, you did something bad. Even though the law doesn't forbid anybody from getting out publicly or media from reporting on it, the law does not provide for that. Even if he was in the whistleblower statute, the law is very specific. It doesn't say media cannot report his name out. Trust me, if this was a whistleblower like on President Obama, trust me, the media would be reporting his name out and it'd be all kinds of hit pieces on him by now. You have no idea, right? It'd be terrible. Kind of like Snowden, right? I mean, remember what they did to Snowden and the guys who, did whistleblowing on the Obama administration. It was just the opposite. Everybody was talking about him and everything else. So, let's see. Yeah, exactly, Luke. Exactly. They want to be in charge. Deep State wants to be in charge. Exactly what we were talking about right here. And they hate that. So anyway, so this whistleblower is not a whistleblower under the statute. He's afforded no protection. Now, here's the problem. The DNI was an acting DNI. And he read this, and you could tell when he testified, he's a nice guy. You can tell he's a really nice guy. He's a career guy, was in the military and the Navy. But when he saw this come through in the IG, I went into his background a little bit several weeks ago. He's kind of, say deep stater, just say definitely a never Trumper, the Inspector General for sure. He's somebody, he weaseled his way through the Bush administration and then into the Obama administration, and then he ended up here, and it was like, oh, but yeah, he's definitely a never Trumper. So he was more than happy to agree with the attorneys for the whistleblower when he said, oh yeah, he fits in the statute. And then the DNI got confused, and he wasn't sure if he fit in the statute or not, and he said, well, I think he does. He only just needed some time to clear up whether or not it was executive privilege, et cetera. But he should have said, no, you know what, you don't fit in the statute. Sorry, because he doesn't. I mean, it's a real clear reading of the law. I mean, you can't miss this one unless you. In fact, when they wrote the brief, they tortured it to say, "Oh, the president is within the authority and responsibility of the director of national intelligence." Well, that just throws the Constitution right on its head. So the chief executive is under the authority of cabinet members. That's not anywhere in Article 2 whatsoever. It's not anywhere in the Constitution. It's not in the Bill of Rights. Okay, it's nowhere. Okay, the idea that the president is under the authority of a cabinet level member is absurd. It's like he'd be like the president under the authority of a general or the Secretary of Defense. No, we have elections where the president is the commander in chief, and the founding fathers are very clear on that. They want a civilian leadership, to wit, an elected person. Okay, to wit, the president elected. So anyway, he doesn't fit in the statute. I wish everybody, even on Fox, they always start off with he's a whistleblower instead of saying this, or Hannity will say, oh, he's not a whistleblower because of hearsay. Well, no, who cares about hearsay? It doesn't matter. So he said he heard something, so they changed it. They changed the rules like a month before the guy did it. So what? Who cares? That's not the big thing. The big thing is the president. He's ratting out the president, if you will. He's saying this guy's doing something bad. He's abusing something. Well, the president is not under the authority of the director of national intelligence. So this guy wouldn't have fit into that. And by leaking this, he's probably committed treason. Okay? And then everybody up the chain along with him. So there you go. All right. So anyway, so let's take a look here at some. Oh, by the way, here, let me get back here. Great Informer. How you doing? Okay. Let me just say real quick. Let's see. Say, hey, the Great Informer. Oh, just Great Informer. Okay, that's why I wouldn't punch it up. I'll call you the Great Informer. It's just Great Informer. Hey, anyway, all right, let's take a look back here. We'll get to our next set of stories. Let's go back here. All right, and what do we got? Oh, let me do this real quick. This is a little thing I like to do. Hold on. Let's see. Nope. Oh, now I can't remember where I put it. But anyway, if I find it, it's funny. Let's see. Well, it's somewhere. Oh, there it is. There we go. Hold on. This I get a kick out of. Okay. Anyway, hey, check this out. Call now. The phone lines are open. Call now. Phone lines are open. Phone number right above there, 775-273-8970 for our live call-in show. If you wish to appear by vMix video call, side by side, whatever, then send me an email to the email address listed above, ca2jogger, my last name, joerger, at gmail.com. And you can appear by vMix video call, or if you want to call in, 775-273-8970. Just a warning to any trolls out there. I do have a true broadcast delay, which incorporates not just the audio, but the video portion of this live stream. So if you're thinking about trying to put something stupid on air, it ain't going to happen. Only person going to hear it is me, and I will probably laugh. Other than that, call now. Phone lines are open. Call now. Phone lines are open. There you go. Anyway, sorry, I just like doing that. All right, so let's take a look here. Let's see. Well, disagree and have different opinions, so they think it's criminal or impeachable. So whistleblowers disagree and have different opinions, so they think it's criminal or impeachable. Yeah, so basically, right. I agree with you on that. It's I think it would be more. It's more of a policy difference that obviously these guys are all pro. Everybody tells me we're all like pro-Ukrainian people and stuff, and I guess they would be more than happy if we sent some troops over there and got involved in a war. But yeah, they have a disagreement of policy, and that's the whole thing. The president runs the policy. If all these guys who run state, who work in state rather, they think they're in charge. And so you get a new president in. He says, "Okay, this is a policy." He tells the Secretary of State, "This is who we're going to be nice to. We're going to be mean to. They're going to kiss ass to. Who we're not going to kiss ass to." And then people below that say, "Well, no, we don't like that." Well, no, it's a new administration. You got to get used to it. This is our new policy. And so they have two choices. One, they could either try to, thwart any kind of policy attempts, slow walk information, give bad intel, or whatever to try to sabotage the president, or do something like this. Of course, this is really sabotaging the president. Or what they should do is quit. They say, "Look, I can't handle this. I'm not in favor of this policy. I want to quit." But they won't quit because they want their jobs, whether they work at CIA or state or Pentagon. These are all big welfare programs over there. Trust me, you could probably slash all their budgets in half as far as staffing, and you wouldn't miss anything. Okay, the bureaucracy at the agency, the bureaucracy at state, the bureaucracy at the Pentagon, it's unreal. I mean, there are people who are working not just doing the same job other people are doing; they're actually working across purposes. It's just a big money. It's a big welfare program, basically what it is. It's like a big work fair. So I agree though. The president's the one in charge, and if you don't like the policy from the top, then you can resign. If you don't want to, I mean, you're the foot soldiers. You're following the orders to carry out his policy. And if you don't like his policy, then split. And it's really that simple. But these guys won't split because they like being in power. They like, these guys left and went to the real private sector. Trust me, they wouldn't do anything. A bachelor's degree doesn't get you in the private sector. Ask Ocasio-Cortez. She had a bachelor's degree from a really good university, Boston College, in economics. And, she left school without going on to get a master's or a PhD. She could go nowhere in the private sector. And they're being a bartender, they're running for Congress, right? So, these people, the bachelor's degrees, they show up at state or the agency or whatever, they went to go get a job in the private sector. One, they wouldn't be getting a job. They could get on a private plane and fly and go tell some foreign leader what to do, not until they were like 65. But two, they wouldn't even get their foot in the door with the lack of education they have. It just wouldn't happen. So, totally agree with you on that. All right, so let's take a look here, see what else we got going on. We'll probably get a little bit more into this. Let's see what we got here. Okay, yeah, this is an interesting story here. See, alleged whistleblower Eric, see, again, I'm Italian, Charmella, I think it's Charmella, was biting guests at State Department banquet. Interesting story here. And there's a name here we're going to get to in a few minutes as to who else was at that banquet. A lot of people have been reporting the big names like Comey and Clapper and everything like that, but they haven't been reporting this one guy's name, and we'll get to his name in a few minutes here. I did a super chat on HA site a few nights ago, and I didn't write the guy's name down because that's his site. I didn't know if you want anybody's name listed, but it's Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, totally appreciate it. Yeah, no, HA shouts me out, man. It's like totally cool, and I wasn't expecting it, but he says, yeah, go sub to Carl's site. And he put links in there, and Luke and Eric are putting the links to my site um, in his chat room, live chat, and that was so generous. I was kind of blown away. I was not expecting that at all from him. It was really really kind. It was very generous, and yeah, it was totally nice. I mean, that was like great. I mean, that's the first time another host has put like said, "Hey, sub to this guy. Here's his link," and and actually put the links in their chat. I mean, I was floored. I'll be honest, I was really floored, and I really enjoyed listening to him and stuff. And I like the thing I like about HA is that he's a writer. I mean, first and foremost, he's a writer. He's a writer and a researcher. Because you got a lot of guys on YouTube who don't write well, don't research well, don't read well. But he reads a lot, he writes a lot, and so he has a good understanding of the issues. So then he just happens to be a good broadcaster on top of it. So he's able to present that to all of us. And there's some things. I mean, a couple of the last video I did was the last big video I did where it was inspired by him. I said right on my video, this was because he got me thinking about the Clintons and the Clinton machine and stuff. So I'm like, well, wait a second. So I started looking at this whole Biden thing, and I saw Victoria Nuland, and I saw all these Clinton people running around, and I saw Steve Ricchetti running around with Joe Biden as the chief of staff, and now his campaign strategist. And I looked back at Ricchetti, and there he was, also known as Rodham Ricchetti, big friends with the Clintons. So like the Clintons got a spy in his campaign starting way back. And I went through the whole process and how they did it, how they got rid of the first chief of staff, gave him a big job with Steve Case with AOL, and then the next chief of staff, they got rid of him, gave him a big job with the big Clinton donor, and then Ricchetti was working his way through the White House, and then found his way as counselor to Joe Biden, and then chief of staff to Joe Biden, and then of course he chief strategist of his campaign in 2016, the one who talked him out of running in 2016, cleared the way for Hillary, and now he's working for Biden again, sabotaging his campaign, in my opinion, because again, you don't need millions of supporters to get more than like 10 people at an event. That's all campaign strategy stuff. You can get, and if you or I hired a good campaign team member, anybody on this chat, you or I, trust me, our good campaign manager could get 500,000 people at any event, okay, without blinking an eye. That's easy to do. Okay, so if they're not showing up, and not because they don't want to go see Joe Biden, because that campaign staff is not getting the word out there correctly, and they're not bringing people in. So yeah, HA was the inspiration for that, because he made me start looking at the Clintons, because he talked about the Clintons in ways I never thought of before, and I'm like, wow, this really is a machine, this is crazy. So anyway, but all right, let's take a look. Alleged whistleblower Eric Chermella was a Biden guest at State Department banquet. This is from the Washington Examiner. Eric Chermella, the alleged Ukraine whistleblower, was a guest of Vice President Joe Biden at a glitzy lunch in October 2016 to honor the Prime Minister of Italy. Biden co-hosted the banquet with former Secretary of State John Kerry for then Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi. Chermella, who is of Italian heritage, was among the U.S. officials who accepted the invitation. This week, the Washington Examiner reported that Chermella is now a Deputy National Intelligence Officer for Russia and Eurasia on the National Intelligence Council, reporting to the Director of National Intelligence. Chermella, a career CIA analyst, was Ukraine director of the National Security Council during the end of the Obama administration and remained there during the early months of the Trump administration, when he was briefly acting senior director for European and Russian affairs. He is now accused of being the official who filed the complaint about a July 25th phone call in which President Trump urged Ukrainian President Zelensky to look into the idea that CrowdStrike, about CrowdStrike, H.A. Goodman's talked about CrowdStrike a lot. It's not a conspiracy theory. How CrowdStrike, H.A. Brothers are really good. Basically, the DNC was hacked, right, by somebody, maybe. We don't know. And instead of the FBI being able to look at the servers and have their forensic guys, examine the computers and the servers, the DNC said, no, we'll have this private company that we're going to pay to look into it so we can tell them what we want them to find, and they'll find it and tell you what they found. And the FBI Jim Comey goes, oh, okay, that sounds good to us, no problem. So anyway, that's not a conspiracy theory, that's real deal. So anyway, now, the thing about Chermella was that another story I pulled up said that, look, this guy was a low-level analyst. The idea that he would be invited to this kind of a state dinner definitely showed he had some kind of influence with the White House and with Joe Biden in particular. And so here this guy is a big Biden supporter, a big friend of mine, who traveled to the Ukraine at least twice with Joe Biden during his time when he was in the White House and when Joe Biden was vice president. and definitely traveled over there. I believe they had him traveling over there when Biden made that threat to the guy. Hey, get rid of the prosecutor that's investigating my son, or I'm going to withhold this $1 billion. And Victoria Nuland's hands are all over that. That's pretty disgusting, also. So here's this guy. Gee, I want Biden to win as president. What's in Joe Biden's way? Well, gee, Donald Trump. Well, let's see if I can get rid of him. So let's see if I can leak something, make something up, make it sound horrible, get the ball rolling, and those things have a life of their own, knowing that the Democrat Congress was going to run with it and not stop and go, wait a second, this sounds kind of fishy. No, they're just like, oh yeah, this is true. And of course, the mainstream media, right in lockstep, oh yeah, this is true. And of course, they report every horrible potential thing in the world about it. So, sure, what's up with my phone, Missy Wheeler? Oh, hey, Missy, how you doing down there? But your phone, are you calling or something? Anyone else here have buffering? You're quite generous, Missy all over. 5x5 here. Okay, Luke, you're good. You're 5x5. Okay, good deal. Yeah, got me. Yeah, I get scared when I see that. I'm like, no. But anyway, yeah, I got 3 laptop setups. So one of the laptops I use just to monitor the YouTube feed, but it's like, obviously like 25 seconds behind the live because it's YouTube. You guys know YouTube does a 25-second buffering unless you have like super low latency, super high speed, internet servers and stuff like that. So, all right. So, anyway, so let's take a look at the next story here regarding Mr. Ciaramella. Let's see, who else he has ties to? Well, let's see. Eric Ciaramella, Schiff's whistleblower, also has ties to Susan Rice, and then, of course, Joe Biden. Susan Rice, of course, you remember her. She's the one who was part of that meeting in early January 2017 in the Oval Office discussing the investigations of the Trump into then President-elect Trump, January 2017. And she's the one who sent herself that, cover your ass email on January 20th. The day 1 hour before he took office, and she lost her White House account, saying, "Oh, we're discussing a really weird investigation today, but we did everything by the book." Signed, Susan Rice. Bye. Click, and then she, was gone. So that's Susan Rice. The worst kept secret in Washington is that former NSC staffer and CIA employer Eric Ciaramella is Adam Schiff's secret whistleblower in the ongoing Nancy Pelosi impeachment farce. More importantly, Ciaramella has a long history with Obama NSC advisor Susan Rice and former VP Joe Biden. See, the reason why they don't want you to know who this guy is because then people, not just us, but like, really, big outlets would start doing a deep dive investigation into who he is, what his motivations are, what his biases are, that kind of stuff, and start doing this kind of investigation. So they want to keep his name secret, and then, of course, even though Schiff, you read some of the transcripts, Schiff's like, oh, we don't want his name disclosed. Well, I mean, everybody's looking at each other like, Schiff, hey, stupid, everybody knows his name already. So cut the bullshit. You don't need to try to pretend we need to hide his name. Okay, we don't. We know his name, but yet they don't want to mention his name because then people will start asking, questions in these committee hearings, like of the witness, like Vinland. Okay, what do you know about this guy? Was he in the tank for Joe Biden? Did he hate President Trump? Did he ever say anything bad? But they can't even ask these guys questions about that because supposedly this is, confidential. But it's not. It's not confidential. In the threats about media outlets, there's nothing in the statute says you can't report his name. He said, oh, he's got death threats. Well, he's over at Langley right now. I think he's safe, okay? And plus, everybody knows who he is anyway. So, I mean, what are we talking about? Okay? I'm sure there's a security detail on him right now because, the deep state guy at the agency, I'm sure they want this guy, I'm sure they want Trump gone, so they're going to make sure this guy sticks around for a few minutes. So, nonsense on that. Hold on a second. Let me check something. Okay. All right. Thanks. All right. So anyway, let's see. Let's get to this. So the worst kept. Okay. Blah blah blah. Da da da. And add to that list of witnesses before Schiff is Stasi East German secret police style lack of intelligence committee. Schiff Stasi. I like it. Schiff Stasi East German secret police style lack of intelligence committee. You have a succession of partisan Trump haters with long pedigrees of either being Democrat operatives, deep state ties to Burisma Holdings, or active participants in the George Soros Open Societies foundations. His remarkable parade, Eric Ciaramella, Ambassador Maria Yovanovitch, Ambassador William Taylor, Schiff staffers and former NSC employees, Abigail Gray, Sean Misko. Sean Misko, interesting name. I talked about him the other night. Both joining the staff of his committee in August 2019, just in time for the whistleblower report to be recorded. Sean Misko, who is on the staff at Adam Schiff, is very close friends with Eric Ciaramella. Go figure. Both worked with Ciaramella on the NSC in the Obama White House. So, Okay, let's get to the next story. Now, at this meeting, this party, let me see if I can get to it here. I think it's here. Yeah. This is a list. This is somebody's tweet here. Let me see whose tweet it is. Let's see, this guy, whoever this person, Moxie Mimi, tweeted, "Why is whistleblower at a dinner in honor of the Italian Prime Minister listed as a guest of Joe Biden? Also listed James Clapper, James Comey, Chris Christie, Lee Smith, Chuck Grassley. No, I'm sorry, Chris Christie. Stop right there. Everybody's just at so and so. So anyway, so on this list you can see here, and let's see, you see Chris Christie, which is weird. Okay, it is Eric Charmella in yellow. There's James Clapper. Now somebody's name who's not in yellow. And I always look for like who are these people? And then, again, this goes back to HA. It's like, who are these people? Like, there's probably some tie into the Clintons. Well, yep, there is. So shit. And he got me hooked on this Clinton thing now. I'm like all over the place on the Clintons. So you see a name here, Collins. Tim Collins. Let me see if I can highlight this. I'm not sure if I can. Nope, can't. I can't highlight on this. Anyway, the top here, I'm going to put it right up to the top. Maybe you can see my cursor. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, Tim Collins, Chief Executive Officer of Ripplewood Holdings. Okay, well, who's this guy? So anyway, Tim Collins is, let's see if we get to, do I have his thing up? Let's see. I thought I had his. Okay, here's his Wikipedia page. Okay, so we get to that. And there's a picture of him. Let's see, I'm probably right on top of his picture. Let's see. Yep, I am. All right, let me take me down for a sec so you can see who this guy is here. Well, let me pull him up a little more. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. See, maybe you can see him from there. Yep, there you go. Okay, that's him. Okay, there's Tim Collins. All right. So he owns this company, Ripplewood Holdings, LLC. Okay. He's also on the board of directors of Citigroup. He's a connected guy. All right. And let's see. DePaul University, MBA from Yale School of Management, blah, blah, blah. Works for all these big companies, got a whole bunch of money. So I'm thinking like, okay, there's got to be a Clinton connection, right? So I go looking. So, of course, I find one. So, and there is one. So let's take a look at this. Let's see here. Let's see. All right, so sure enough, from the WikiLeaks, when they released all those emails, one of the emails they found was, and there was this language in here, back in 2009, banned, this is a big time Clinton fundraiser, supporter, foundation person, you name it. Ban passed on an email from a man by the name of Tim Collins, in which he thanked Aberdeen for bringing him to, quote unquote, some event. In other words, it was a pay for play as far as like if you gave a lot of money to the foundation, then they would call the foundation would call the State Department, the same people, and say, hey, this guy just gave a shitload of money to the Clinton Foundation. I need you to get him over to a state dinner, right? So sure enough, Tim Collins is one of those people. In 2009, ban passed on an email from a man by the name of Tim Collins, in which he thanked Aberdeen for bringing him to "quote unquote" some event. That event was, according to Aberdeen, a speech in Cairo that the State Department had invited him to. Although ABC was unable to verify the identity of Collins, the Clinton Foundation lists a Timothy Collins, founder of investment firm Ripplewood Advisors, ta-da, we just pulled that up, as a major donor. So, what is a major donor for Clinton doing at this party with Tremella and Clapper and Comey and friends? Wonder what that guy's doing there. I don't know. We can use our imagination, I guess. With the golden black, hey Liberty, how you doing? Good seeing you there. It's funny. Hillary, yep, Barry, okay. And she will. But yeah, so let's see. Yep, got a phone call coming in. Excuse me. Hey, great informer. How you doing?
What's up, Carl? How you doing? How's everything? Man, I
Yep.
didn't think I was going to get off time to call into your show. I know you've probably been on for a while now. Yeah, when I was in the chat, just throw up a couple one-liners, saying hey to everybody. I've noticed, hey, some new people. That's great. That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Carl, I feel bad that I haven't been able to go live with you in a while. But keep doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? If I can, you have my word. If I can go live with you, I'm gonna go live with you. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
The important thing is getting that message out there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Totally.
Totally.
But Carl, There was, you know, what's funny? There was something interesting. There was something interesting. I don't know if you saw it, but did you see? There was a Forbes, a magazine that Forbes did last month, right? A news article about 20 billionaires that were trying to stop Obama. Charles Schwab was among these people. Have you ever read that?
No, I haven't.
It was interesting because you know how in the past we've talked about the Mercers, right? And
Right?
we've talked about other billionaires who are against the New World Order, right? That there's potential, right? Well,
Yeah.
all of these billionaires probably got some kind of ties to the Bilderberg Group. You know what I'm saying? In some form or another. I don't know how big or how. You know, we all know Davos is not. They're not good news. But there was this. If it's okay, I'll read this. I don't want to, but I don't want to take away from what you're doing.
No, no, no. Wait. Okay. So, well, tell me exactly what it's about. I was putting some stuff up when you were talking. So go ahead.
Um, it's Forbes. It says a nonprofit group was with a bland name. The article's titled "At least 20 billionaires behind dark money group that opposed Obama." Right,
Okay. Go ahead.
and a nonprofit group with a bland name, Americans for Job Security, spent $5 million supporting Republicans in the 2010 midterms and $15 million denouncing former President Obama in the 2012 election. Right. But
Right.
until this week, this group never had to file disclosures showing where its money was coming from, right?
Okay.
This is the first time in the Citizens United era that the dark money group was forced to disclose their donors in a certain time period, said Jordan Limbowitz, a spokesperson for nonprofit watchdog group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. I'll bet this group watchdog group Citizens. I bet they're a left-leaning group. First time I heard. I mean, I've heard of them, but reading this article. But anyway, referring to the 2010 Supreme Court case that wiped away previous restrictions on political spending, Americans for Job Security had previously claimed it was not a political organization and therefore did not have to disclose its donors. But after years of litigation, Crew convinced the Federal Elections Commission otherwise. AJS filed a list of its backers and beneficiaries from 2010 to 2012 on Thursday. And it said the biggest individual donor to the group appears to be Charles Schwab, right? The brokerage titan, worth an estimated $7.8 billion over the span of 3 months in 2012, he donated nearly $9 million. See, these billionaires are coming out of the woodwork now.
Yeah.
Gap co-founder Doris Fisher, along with her sons Robert, John, and William, gave another $9 million. Right.
So where are they
Some of
giving?
these
Where they?
donors,
Where are they giving the money to?
It said the biggest individual donor of the group. It was let me see. Americans for Job Security had previously claimed. I guess this is a super PAC.
Yeah.
And let me see. They had give. Let me see. Nine. Okay, Doris Fisher, along with her sons Robert, John, and William, gave another $9 million. Some of the donors' names have seeped out over the years. In 2013, the California State Watchdog. Oh, there you go, right there. California agency released a redacted donor list following an investigation conducted by the agencies. That redacted list.
So the money. Okay, so the money that. Okay, what does this organization do that these people are donating to? Are they like a left wing organization, right wing? What do they do?
No, this Americans for Job Security. I'm not sure. This article caught my attention about a week ago. But some of these groups I've never heard of. Americans for Job Security. That's a super PAC I'm not familiar with.
Well, let's take a look.
The interesting. Mm-hmm. And Richard and Helen Davos. Well, there's no. Davos doesn't surprise me. They've always been conservative. And but it's Forbes. The article is written by Michaela Tendera. I don't know. I thought maybe you could probably understand this better than me, but it goes back to what I was saying before, how there were other billionaires that were against what these globalist billionaires were doing. And it's interesting because a lot of these guys seem to have California addresses, according to this article.
Uh-huh. Let's see. What do they do? Describe some of the. Let's see. What do they do? What do they do? What do they do? Let's say we'll start with Wikipedia, which necessarily isn't the best source. Okay, Virginia-based pro-business lead. The group has operated since '97 and runs issue advertisements nationwide. Last month, Crew received notice that the FEC reached a conciliation agreement with AGS, requiring them to register as a political committee and disclose their donors, which they did. That's the one you're reporting on today. Michael Dubke, David Carney, business groups helped start Americans. Carney was a political director for George H.W. Bush. Dubke was the first executive director and then president of Americans for Job Security until April '08, when Stephen DeMora, recruited by Carney, took over. In '02, AGS ran over 1 million advertising attacking Democrat Janine Shaheen, who was running for the U.S. Senate in New Hampshire, in opposition to Republican John Sununu. In 2008, rematch between Shaheen and Sununu. AGS again funded advertising attacking Shaheen. They had complaints with the FEC because they weren't registered properly. Notable donors: Peter Thiel, Richard and Helen, you said Davos, Sheldon Miriam Adelson, that's a very conservative person, owns the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Yeah.
Robert McNair. Let's see. Yeah, they sound Wynn Resorts. Wynn Resorts kind of weird because they're kind of liberal.
Yeah.
So is Bass Pro Shops. Let's see, which is surprising if you think about it. Let's see. Let's see.
But it goes to show, Carl, that there are, billionaires on our side that don't like what these other ones are doing.
That is
because
true.
these are like the ones that earned their wealth. They worked hard for their wealth, and they don't want to just, see it, seized. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, I know it's probably a silly analogy the way I'm bringing this up like that, but it's funny because everyone on the right always assumes that all the wealthy people are the ones that like Soros. Soros's name is plastered all over the place. Steyer's name is plastered all over the place. Which, by the way, one of his staffers. I posted on my wall of parlor today about how one of his staffers stole information from Kamala Harris. Gee, talk about white privilege right there, But anyway, back to what I was saying was, you got these billionaires that, obviously they didn't want their name out there, doing what they were doing behind the scenes. The only one, Mercer's probably the one that's got more exposure than these guys, but now the cat's out of the bag with this article. So they either jump on our side or they're going to be what's called kicked out of the party once the globalists succeed in what they're doing,
Right.
So it's
no,
like,
I agree.
They got to go full steam ahead with what they're doing, I mean, I don't know why some of these guys don't pump money into the NRA or Gun Owners of America, because, and it's the reason why I say that is because these guys could actually help beef up the NRA and help get the NRA the money and the revenue they need to, do these ads, because I've been getting stuff from the NRA and they're trying to meet their like $10 million quarterly annual budget to help Trump run ads.
Well, are you saying they're having a hard time raising that money?
Well, that's what it seems to be. They've been emailing a lot of their people. I mean, I've been kind of working more with the Young Americans Against Socialism, but I mean, it seems like they've been like hard up for cash lately. I mean, I've been getting stuff from them like every day in the mail and in emails. So I don't know. I don't know if they're, but that whole ordeal with Wayne LaPierre when he was getting the NRA to buy, them him a $6 million mansion. I can understand why a lot of people had a lot of, anger towards the board of directors with the NRA, and I think that whole scandal hurt them, credibility wise,
Right.
And it's like, but the reason why I was saying, some of these billionaires, you would think that they would at least be trying to pump up the NRA a little bit, because, I mean, how else are they going to fight back properly?
Yeah, but you got to remember, though, they're kind of afraid because they don't, that money, the main problem the NRA's been having is like the money's been squared away by some of the leadership. So they're afraid if they stick money into that, where's it going to go? Is it going to go for running
Yeah,
ads?
that's
And
true.
yeah, I mean that's the whole big. That's the whole scandal they had was about money. It was like who's spending the money, who's buying how many suits, and taking buying houses and stuff with it. So they're afraid if they give a bunch of money over to this organization, it's just going to end up in a rat hole in somebody's Swiss bank account or some house or some new
Yeah,
suits or cars or whatever. So that's the problem. But I mean,
yeah,
look, they have to register. Fine, they got to register with the IRS, with the FEC. I'm not sure how long that's going to delay them to do that. It sounds like they registered today, so it sounds like they're going to be in
hmm
compliance. So it sounds like they should still be able to go
hmm
forward. I mean, I find it hard to believe that they, with all the lawyers that, here I'm a lawyer, but it was all the lawyers these rich people would have had that they wouldn't have had them in the right situation. And again, I guess they were just trying to
hmm
hide the donors. But still, I mean, they have to know they were running, going against the law on this. And I can't believe somebody didn't say, "Hey, whoa, we got to do this right, or we're going to get fined, or we're going to be slowed down, or something."
hmm
But it happens, I guess.
yeah,
I mean, go figure. I'm sure somebody just got
hmm
fired.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
no, I mean, Wade LaPierre has got to go. I mean, they need to get rid of him pronto because, 2020 is coming up, and I mean, gun control groups have outspent the NRA. I think, I don't know if it's the first time or not. I can't say, but I think gun control groups spent what was it, 25, 30 million more than the NRA did. I mean, I remember
yeah,
seeing NRA ads during Andrew Gillum and Ron DeSantis, because the NRA targets ads. They target the ads based in the areas, in the conservative areas. Like they know, like for example, they know my area is a fairly conservative area, so they're going to target social media ads to people around my area. But they might spend like $200,000 or $300,000 for I don't know, maybe you know I don't know, was it done by clicks? I think 80 or 90,000 clicks. I guess. I mean, I'm not educated on that kind of advertising social media, but if they run Twitter ads and stuff, I mean, these gun groups are spending more than pro-gun groups are. And it's I mean, Carl, this is a make it or break it deal that we're in right now. I mean, it's a broken record me saying it like that, but this thing now with these billionaires coming out of the woodwork, I mean, you would think that they'd try and start running more. I don't know. It seems like maybe they're going to put more money into super PACs that'll run ads that'll try to get the message out more. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really educated when it comes to how super PACs funnel their money or how they do it. But when Robert Mercer ran those ads against the radical Islamic anti-radical Muslim ads that he ran, a lot of those I think were targeted for Facebook and Twitter. And I know that I think you could actually see those ads on YouTube as well,
right.
But I think Cambridge Analytical, I think, had something to do with how those ads were done. I mean, I don't know. This is just speculation of me, seeing what Mercer has done and seeing how Mercer's, funneled his money and stuff. But
Hey,
it's
let me ask a question. I'll bring you back to what we were talking about. So, what do you think about this whole Eric Charmella guy, the whistleblower, and all his ties to Rice and Biden and it sounds like the Clintons also and all that. What do you think about this guy?
how many whistleblowers do they have?
Well,
I mean, it's like
they have one who's claiming whistleblower status, but
uh,
if you go back and watch the replay, you'll see in the beginning that under the statute he doesn't fit into the whistleblower statute, so he shouldn't have whistleblower status. He shouldn't be confidential.
mhm,
He should be subject to retaliation to it, meaning that he should be able to get fired. Okay, because what he did was
mhm.
disclose classified information. And it's not a defense that your lawyer said you're a whistleblower, you fit in the statute, and you disclose the information. That's not a defense. Well, my lawyer told me it was okay. That's never been a defense. Okay, it never has been.
Yeah.
And his lawyer's
Uh-huh.
got all kinds of background issues anyway. So, but what do you think about him as far as what he's been doing and saying, and as far as this guy being made public now? And it turns out he's got a lot of skeletons in his closet, which is why they didn't want to be made public. So now we're finding all these wonderful things out about him. What do you think about that?
It doesn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me with any of these people anymore. I mean, it's like with Christina Blasey Ford. She had handlers. This guy's got handlers too. You know,
Right.
they. I mean, it's. I don't know. I haven't really seen much of the news today. But they're so. It's funny, Carl, because my buddy, right, and I'll get to how this ties into this too, right? He's sitting here saying Trump has broken so many laws. Okay, well, what laws has Trump broken? He had permission to release the transcripts from the Ukrainian president. You know,
Right.
it's not a crime to talk to people in Russia. I
Well,
mean,
no.
they can't prove what, huh?
Well, no, of course. Look, this guy's got a couple of thousand
Yeah,
missiles pointed at us. The Russian economy is only a little bit bigger than the economy for the state of Texas, but they still got a lot of missiles over there, and they still have influence in a lot of areas. I mean, first of all, if these two guys weren't so paranoid for the last couple of years about every time they even looked at each other, like at a summit or something, it's like, oh, Trump looked at Putin. Oh, Putin smiled at Trump. Oh, he shook his hand. Oh, if they weren't so paranoid, these two guys would probably be getting along really well right now, which would be very beneficial for
yeah,
us. It'd be very beneficial for the
yeah,
United States, for us, if Trump and Putin got along really well, because they could be working all kinds of deals out. Like for instance in the Ukraine, as far as there was Trump. I reported on this. I did a story on about a couple months ago, or so, and Trump had said something about it's when Trump was talking about getting Putin back into the G20, I think it was, and then literally like
yeah,
within that week after Trump said they should do that, Putin released a bunch of did a prisoner exchange with the Ukrainians, prisoner swap, and gave back a bunch of prisoners they were holding, and got some Russian prisoners back from the Ukrainians. But they gave way back more to the Ukrainians than the Ukrainians gave to them. So I mean, when you're getting along with somebody, you're working out deals with people, good things can happen. And plus Obama had that,
yeah,
again, that open mic situation in 2012 where he's talking to the president of Russia when Putin, I think, was prime minister or vice versa. And he goes, hey, let Vlad know this is my last election. After the election, I'll have a lot more flexibility of what I can do with him. And what they were talking about were the anti-missile defense system that they had put in Poland. And Putin wanted those out of Poland. He thought it was a threat to to Russia that they were so close to his country. So he wanted them gone, and he was pushing Obama to get rid of them. And Obama, was telling, and that's the context of the conversation. So he's telling Medvedev, I think it was Medvedev, I think his name is. He's telling him, hey, look, the
yeah,
open mic, the big open mic thing. Hey, look, tell Vlad I have a lot more flexibility. So tell him just to wait till after the election, and then I'll take care of these missiles. And sure enough, after the election, what did Obama do? He pulled the missile defense system out of Poland. And not to mention,
yeah,
all this military aid they're talking about with Trump to Ukraine. Well, when Obama was in the White House, they didn't send any military aid to Ukraine. It was just, humanitarian aid and things like that, loan guarantees. They didn't send any direct military aid. Trump has been sending direct anti-tank weapons, anti-air weapons. Not to mention, he's had our Air Force doing patrols with the Ukrainian Air Force over Ukraine. Those are U.S. fighter planes
yeah,
flying over Ukraine. Trump's doing that. Okay, and not to mention, everybody thought, as Trump, as Obama was going out of the White House, and Putin had already taken the Crimea. The big talk was, is Putin going to be in Kiev next? Are the Russians going into Kiev? Are they going to be taking over Ukraine? Well, after Trump got elected, all that talk stopped. Why? Because Trump made it known, hey,
yeah,
look, we were sending military aid. I'm putting my fighter pilots over Ukraine proper, and if you attack Ukraine, it's like you're attacking us. He pretty much told Putin that. So I
yeah,
mean, so all this talk like, oh, he held up the aid. Well, there was under the Obama administration, there was no aid to hold up because he didn't send any military aid at all. Period.
yeah,
And that's just that's just the way
yeah.
it goes.
hmm Yeah, because Obama stood to gain more with, because Putin stood to gain more with Obama being president, and probably even Hillary too. I mean, some people say that Hillary would have gotten us into a war with Russia, but the funny thing is, even with Trump in office, is really, Trump is kind of more of an inconvenience for Putin. Putin it really doesn't phase him one way or the other with Trump in office, right? Just Putin can't do what he wants to do in that part of the world. Now, this thing where Putin told people to get out of, Syria, right? Trump is like, it's like, okay, fine, we don't have to be spending money over there. We don't have to be, sending our troops to die in wars that really don't have anything to do with us. Let Putin handle it. Let Putin foot the bill. That's money we could be allocating for something here, like infrastructure.
Right.
I mean,
well, no, that's what I said. I said, everybody's worried. Oh, ISIS is going to, rebuild itself. Well, first of all, you haven't heard anything about that since this impeachment thing. Suddenly, ISIS is no longer a problem. But everybody said, oh, ISIS is going to rebuild itself. Well, Trump's like, hey, look, man, the Turks and/or the Russians and/or the Syrians and/or the Iranians, they all hate ISIS. Okay, and they hate them. And unlike us, where we have what does they say? Rules of engagement, we're civilized.
yeah,
We take prisoners, that kind of thing. These people
yeah,
don't. The Syrians, I mean, ISIS, ravaged their country for years, and they killed a lot of their
yeah,
people and tortured them. I mean, the Syrians have no love lost for ISIS, and they meet them in the field of combat. Trust me, they're not taking any prisoners. They're just going to dust these guys. Okay, they're going to kill them.
yeah,
And the same thing with the Russians, and
yeah,
the same thing with the Turks, and the same thing with the Iranians. So and the same thing with the Kurds. I mean, we're not there to kind of tell the Kurds, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. Trust me, the Kurds, there's no love lost between the Kurds and ISIS.
yeah,
Okay, so all those people. If we're not there to tell people, hey, behave, all those guys aren't going to behave, and they're just going to be ruthless, and they're going to take out. I mean, ISIS sticks his head up for half a second. Those guys would be more than happy to shoot them down. So the idea, like, oh, who's going to take care of ISIS? Well, everybody I just mentioned, that's who. So
yeah.
none of those players I just
like,
mentioned like ISIS at all. So they're all, and without us there, they don't have to do. They can do whatever the hell they want to on the ground, and they will. Especially the Kurds, they will. The Kurds can't do everything they want to when we're there because we're there, and we can. You can't do that shit in front of us. But we're not there. Trust me, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty nasty.
No, I mean, they've been killing each other for centuries. Forgive the terminology, but when the British went in there in the late 19th century, World War, was it before World War One? The British drove the Kurds north of Iraq, right? If I'm not mistaken. The British Empire, Britain, Britain and France and Western powers went in there, for the oil and for the resources of the Middle East, and they made the problem thousands of times worse. I mean, as resources were getting scarce for them, they were pockets of Muslims were fighting each other here and there, the Shiites and the Sunnis and the Kurds, they're all just fighting for land and territory, and then as the Western powers pulled out of there, it just got worse and worse and worse. And, back when we gave Israel back to the Jewish people, the level of hatred for us just, obviously skyrocketed, right?
Right.
But, the funny thing is, and this is something that many cultural Marxists have a hard time understanding. When Russia went into Afghanistan, there was literally a call to action by many Muslims. It was a holy war because it was an invasion of a Western power into a Muslim country. Now, when we went into Afghanistan to go after the Al Qaeda, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't really, you didn't really have a whole lot of Muslims going to fight against us like you did when the Soviets invaded Afghanistan. Because I think, for the most part, the more, note that I say more civilized Arab countries, civilized being, civilized for whatever their definition of civilized is, right? Kind of understood why we were going in there because they were not giving us Osama bin Laden. We wanted bin Laden. They didn't do it. They played games with us, and Pakistan played games with us too. I mean, it wasn't. I think Obama was in Pakistan, I think, right? Or he was hiding out in Pakistan. They weren't really. They were kind of cooperating with us on paper, for show. But the whole thing, and then you had the Al Qaeda sympathizers going into India and doing suicide bombings, and they're trying to create. A new, basically they wanted India and Pakistan to nuke each other, is what they were trying to do. In those countries, let's, I mean, come on, those countries got to have a little bit more common sense than, in fact, it was those nuclear weapons that probably kept them from going to war in the first place, is what a lot of people
Right.
don't understand about that situation.
Well, yeah.
And
I
I
mean,
remember,
when you look, hold on a sec. Yeah, I mean, when you look at the situation over there, okay, I think a lot of people that didn't like get mad at us for going into Afghanistan because they recognized, one, they attacked us, and two, they thought what Al Qaeda did was like they crossed the line. It wasn't like they didn't attack us
yeah,
militarily, they didn't attack us in the Middle East, and they knew what Osama bin Laden was up to. The reason why he attacked us in such a way, because what he wanted to do was to draw us into Afghanistan. He wanted us to go fight him in Afghanistan. See, he thought that
yeah,
because he was pissed off. He was pissed off after the first Gulf War because he offered the royal family, which he knows quite well because his family is the second richest family in Saudi Arabia. The Bin Laden family. They run all the refineries and everything over there. So he figured, hey, look, when
yeah,
when Saddam Hussein attacked Kuwait and was getting ready to attack Saudi Arabia, he offered his Mujahideen people, say, hey, look, we'll come over here and we'll fight for you, and we'll get rid of Saddam Hussein, because Osama bin Laden hated Saddam Hussein because he was pretty much a secularist. I mean, they had women. They didn't have to wear burqas or hijabs in Iraq. They had Jewish synagogues in Iraq. They had Christian Catholic churches in Iraq. Nobody messed with anybody because they weren't allowed to. I mean, they literally had Jewish synagogues when Saddam Hussein was in there. So he hated Saddam Hussein. Okay, so he goes, I'll go in there, we'll fight, and then of course we offered 400,000 troops in the U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Navy, and the Saudis said, oh no, we'll go with them. And the idea that infidels who are on holy land of Saudi Arabia it made him furious. So what he wanted to do was attack us on 9/11 to make it such this disgusting, terrible attack that he knew we would have to retaliate, and he was hoping to then we would have to fight him on quote unquote his ground in Afghanistan, and he figured he would do to us what he did to the Russians. Well, unfortunately, what he forgot was what he did to the Russians was because we gave him all that equipment to shoot down the helicopters and blow up their tanks and cut off their means of supply. So that wasn't happening. And not to mention the Russians in 1988 was not the United States Army and its technology in 2000 and what year was that? 2003. It's a big difference. I mean, the
yeah,
technology we had was far better than what the Russians had, and also just the years that had gone by, the technology was so much better. So he miscalculated.
yeah,
He didn't realize that we would be able to go in there and run him out of there, which we did, and then he ran over to Pakistan.
yeah,
So I think a lot of the other Arab countries, they were not happy that we were over there fighting other Muslims, but they understood it, and they figured, hey, you know what? He's the one who threw the first rock. He's the one who did it to get us to go over there. So it's like, well, he wanted them there. They're there. So we really can't get him out of the United States for doing what he wanted them to do anyway. So,
yeah.
what
Well,
is it? If you
and,
ain't start nothing, be nothing, don't start nothing. If you don't start nothing, if you're going to start a fight, you
well,
better plan on winning it, you know?
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. No, definitely. But see, like when Bush, a lot of people, got pissed at Bush for going into Iraq to go after Saddam Hussein. And, he, I don't know. I don't know. Myself personally, I don't think it was justified. Because our attention was supposed to be in Afghanistan, not go into Iraq. I mean, unless they were able to prove, I never really looked at it, but from what I understood and remember, they couldn't prove that Saddam had done anything or had any connections to 9/11.
Oh, no, he didn't.
I mean,
No, he did not. He absolutely did not have any connections to 9/11. No. He had zero
yeah,
connections. No, the idea that he helped with the planning or strategy for Osama bin Laden is nonsense. Again, he knew that if Osama bin Laden had his way in Iraq, him and his Saddam and his sons would be strung up from the first lamppost that they found, and kill him and install a Sharia law. And so no,
yeah,
Saddam Hussein was the last person he was going to help was that guy. No way. Again, there were, in Iraq you had, women scientists. Women didn't have to wear, burqas or hijabs. They didn't have to cover themselves up. There were scientists, doctors, lawyers, all kinds of stuff, professional class people. And that was like,
Yeah.
in Saudi Arabia they just got the ability to drive a car, and they can't go out in public
Yeah.
without a man, without their brother or their husband with them or something. They can't even go out by
Yeah.
themselves. So I mean, Iraq
Mhm.
was a totally different country than than anywhere else in the Middle East. Actually, totally different. I mean,
Yeah.
Jordan probably comes pretty close, but that's about it. But other than that, in Syria, of
Mhm.
course, yeah. So I
What's
guess it's not that far
it?
different from other countries. I guess Jordan, Syria, and Iraq. Okay, there you go. Oh, in Turkey. Okay, in Turkey.
Wasn't
All right.
if if I remember, Carl. Now I keep in mind I've only heard the name, but I don't know much about him. But King Hussein, not Saddam Hussein, but King Hussein, the King
Jordan.
of Jordan,
Yeah.
wasn't he? Wasn't he? He was he a good or was he like a tyrant or? I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, like
You know,
despot
my
versus a
history.
tyrant. I mean, was he hard on his people? I don't know. I've really never studied how he treated his people. I mean, he was hard on the Palestinians, the old man. I mean, he ran the Palestinians tried
Mhm.
to take over his country, and he ran them out of there, and that's how the Palestinians ended up in Lebanon. Okay, yeah, they tried to take. Yeah, was it
Mhm.
Black September? What was it? Oh, geez, back in the '70s. So yeah, the Palestinians like, oh, we'll
Mhm.
just take over Jordan, and he had nothing to do with it. And he's like, you're gone. He took out a lot of them. They fled to Lebanon, and that's how the PLO ended up in Lebanon. Because yeah,
Uh,
they. I mean, he let them
I.
come into
Mhm.
Jordan after the '73 Arab-Israeli war, and maybe even after the
Mhm.
'67 war. But they took
Mhm.
his kindness and hospitality, and they took it like, oh, we're just going to take over your country. And he said, no, you're
Mhm.
not. And he was pretty brutal
Yeah.
on them. So I don't know how he
Mhm.
was with his people. I don't know how he treated his people. I have no idea.
Mhm. I remember Yasser Arafat back in like was it 2002, 2003. He seemed like I mean I know of the guy, but I never studied where the guy came from. But he seemed really eager to try and help the Palestinian people. I mean, he was really liked by the Palestinian people. But it seemed like he was, Yasser Arafat was always trying to, you know, find some kind of common ground with Israel. I know that Israel had. I know there was like that couple of times Israel had arrested him, like literally when he at his house. But I don't know. I don't like I said. I've never studied a whole lot about Yasser Arafat. I'm sure he had his ties to radical Islamic groups as well. But it seemed like for the most part, he just kind of wanted to, you know, find. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about him?
Yasser Arafat?
Yeah,
Well, I
he
mean,
seemed.
he made peace. He made peace with the Israelis.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
he cut a lot of shit from his own people over doing that. They wanted him to
yeah.
continue on because his initial mission was to fight and kill them all. Oh wait, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Putting link.
We got. We got. We got other visitors
Yeah, hold
besides
on.
in the chat.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are. A lot of these guys are from HA site, HA Goodman site.
Oh no no no! I mean the others that come to
Oh
listen.
no no
The
no
others that
no
come to
no
listen to.
nope 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 nope. We got too many blue wrenches down there, and if they were, I didn't see them. Somebody must have taken them out. But no, we haven't had anybody tonight, so that's pretty good. No, HA, like I said, HA, he was been really nice, very kind, very
Yeah.
generous. Like I super chat to a lot of different sites, but he's the only person because the reason why I super chat is because I want the site to continue. A lot of these guys like HA, they do this for a living. They write and they publish stuff for a living. That's how they make their living. So I want to make sure they continue on with their
Mhm.
site. They don't have to, be
Yeah.
beholden to some special interest.
Mhm.
And the other reason why, because
Mhm.
when you super chat, of course your comment gets up there. You nice to have it read.
Mhm.
But he's been really nice because
Yeah.
he checked out a couple of my videos and he's been saying, "Hey, I checked out Carl's site; it's really good." And he's been putting the link, and he's been having his moderators put the link to my site in his chat, and saying, "Yeah,
Mhm.
sub to
Yeah.
Carl, get this guy up to 100,000, sub to him." I mean, nobody's ever done that for me before, except for way back.
Mhm.
O'Shea did it for me, but that's when I first started. But since then, nobody else has. And I was
Uh,
I was really like impressed. I'm like, wow, man, thanks. He's just
mhm.
so cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of his
Mhm.
I picked up a lot of subscribers just from him doing
Mhm.
that. And plus, he's not the kind of guy that will give a compliment for a BS compliment. I mean, if he said, "Hey, I like his videos, check it out,"
Hmm.
he meant it. He doesn't have to kiss anybody's ass. So when he said that, I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
it was kind of nice because this guy's a real big production YouTuber kind of guy. So the fact that he liked my content,
Hmm.
that was kind of cool. It was really nice. It was like, wow, man,
Yeah.
cool. Shit.
It's funny because I seem to do a lot better on Parlor than I would have ever done on YouTube because Parlor, as everybody knows, my one-liners had rocketed me to fame on Parlor, and I've been actually trying to follow some smaller people who are coming on to Parlor and help get them on the map to help build their followings. And but what's interesting is that now it seems like because I'm growing fast. I mean, I'm growing very fast. I'm now on the radar to where if I post something and they don't like it, guess what? Not a lot of people are going to see it. I mean, you got people that have 25,000 followers, 18,000 followers, and you've only got, 18 or 19 re-echoes. But echo is similar to retweet, basically, right?
Uh-huh.
So we know that is getting censored. Only it's based on, I guess it's only based on a percentage of how many followers you have, right? Now I know for a fact when I posted Mark Robinson's run for office in North Carolina, and I got close to 300 echoes, they didn't like that because Mark Robinson, they know who Mark Robinson is, and it's the same manner like Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer's running for, I think, District 21 here in Florida. And I think it's in that district, but it's where Mar-a-Lago is, I think, the district of Mar-a-Lago. And I guarantee you, they are, they're not letting her, they're trying to smite her campaign and her message because they don't want her in office. Because I guarantee you, she's going to let them have it if she gets elected. And we want someone like Laura Loomer to get elected.
Yeah, she'd be a big pain in the ass.
Yeah,
In a good way.
yeah, and and remember that other girl, Jennifer Taylor, I think her name was. Oh God, hold on, I got to go back and find her name. The girl that won it from Alabama.
We looked her up the other day. Yeah, we looked her up the other night.
Yeah, I posted her. It's funny because I posted her campaign on my wall. And I only got a few echoes, but we all know that that's them censoring me, and they don't want me to put that information out. So guess what? I will repost it and re-echo it, and other people will see it and re-echo it.
Right.
We got to be as relentless as they are. I've had people, just a little off topic here. I've had people ask me, where do I come up with these one-liners, and how do you have so many of them? Well, you know what? These swamp creatures in Washington give me the inspiration to come up with new one-liners. But that's off topic, I know. But again, my point with all of this is we got to be as relentless as they are.
Right.
I mean, you work a job. Well, guess what? Find time to get involved with politics. You have to. It's funny because I've had people that have asked me, questions, and I try to answer as best I can, and, people who, the conversations, we've got to have the conversations. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it anymore because, like I've said before, time is short for us. We got to get the message out. They don't want us to get the message out. And it's like a famous YouTuber from the chopping block. We all know who that is. Said we are winning. That's why they're trying to shut us up, because we're kind of winning the argument. Now it's funny because everyone thought that this great purge was going to happen around this time. Well, don't think for 1 second because they have not just banned accounts that they aren't going to do it in some form or manner. The great ban could come in the form of algorithm manipulation. They can even make it harder for liberal content to get out just to smite the conservatives. They're kind of doing that now as we speak. I mean, and the funny thing is, obviously, the liberals don't see it and they can't see it. I mean, and it's like, many times before, like I've said, Tulsi Gabbard, don't be fooled by her conservative talking points, but she too is kind of being censored a little bit because of her conservative talking points. But again, people like us, we can see through her philanthropy shtick, but there are many conservatives who,
Well, Tulsi, look,
look.
Tulsi voted for the impeachment inquiry. Okay, so game over, done deal.
Yeah.
I got nothing left to say. Not to mention, she was in favor of Yang's $1,000 per month per person deal, and she just said it off the cuff, like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea." Well, it didn't sound like she put a lot of thought into it. So voting for the impeachment inquiry, the whole $1,000 a month bullshit. She's always been goofy on gun control anyway. So, because she's from Hawaii and they don't believe in owning guns. So, you know what? Done deal with her. She can go. Now she's doing exercise videos to try to seem like, like a Beto O'Rourke kind of person. So, she's showing herself to be who she is. That's all. So, big deal.
I just don't understand. I don't understand how somebody like her could be in the military and be so anti-American. It blows my mind to.
You can look at Pete Buttigieg, same way. Same way.
Yeah.
I mean, he's anti-American. He was in the military. You got to wonder, like, do these people join the military because they're planning on running for politics someday? Did Buttigieg join the military because he wanted to run for politics someday? I don't know. I mean, he joined the military, came back, and then ran for office pretty quick. So same thing with her. I mean, did she go into the military so she could run for Congress? Her dad was pretty well politically connected. So my guess is she always thought about being a politician. Obviously Buttigieg didn't plan on being a career military guy, and neither did Tulsi Gabbard. So do they just join the military, hope to not get killed, and then come back and say, hey, I was in the military? We don't know. It's funny. We really don't know much about, especially Pete Buttigieg. We really don't know a lot about his military career. When he was serving over there in Afghanistan. We know he drove a truck transport. That's about it. And so, I don't, did he see any combat? Was he in a place where he wasn't going to see any combat? What was he doing? I mean, where was he stationed? Was he stationed in a safe place? Was he in the rear, area, if you will? I mean, we don't know. I mean, we don't know. Nobody talks about it. Nobody's talking about it from anywhere. Nobody's done a swift boat on him like they did the Carry 04 to find out, okay, what is this guy about? I mean, he's going to sit there and talk about how courageous he is and how much he's in the military. And he talks about religion every 10 seconds, like he thinks he knows something. And he obviously doesn't sound like he knows anything about religion or God or anything. So, I mean, these guys are just all political animals saying, okay, I'll join the military. Hopefully I don't get killed. And then, I'll roll the dice and then I can come back and say, look, I was in the military and I'm a liberal. I'm a leftist, and this guy's just a pure straight out leftist to begin with. He's definitely for gun control. He's definitely for intervention. He's getting towards. He was like, "Oh, we got to go help the Kurds. We got to, take on the Turks." It's like, well, screw you. We're like for that land, there's nothing there. And Trump was smart. Like, well, we'll guard the oil, and then you guys, if somebody else wants it, he was kind of making like somebody else wants it, they can I guess buy it from us, so they can negotiate with us to get it or whatever. He's like, oh, we'll just grab the oil. It's like shit. And then it was funny when he did it like that. Nobody complained too much. They said because they were happy that we kept some American forces there, like to protect the Kurds, right? But he was just going there to protect the oil. But the way if he had done that just straight up, oh, we just went for the oil, people would have been bitching and moaning. But he did it like, oh, we're going to help the Kurds, and by the way, we're holding on to the oil because we're going to get paid this time. This time we're getting paid. We're not going to go over there, spend trillions of dollars, lose a bunch of lives, and then not get paid a dime. That's nonsense. At least like the first Gulf War that H.W. Bush did, the old man, the Saudis paid the bill on that whole deal. Okay, he got the Saudis to chip in and pay for that. So that was good. We lost I think like 250. But that's awful. That's horrible. But at least we didn't come out of pocket for it.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Bush Senior probably got some contracts for his oil company too. And I'm sure they got some nice kickbacks for him as well. I mean, it's like, it's funny because everybody, the whole joke about George W. Bush was that Cheney was the one pulling the strings, right? And because Cheney, the Bushes have ties to all to the Saudis, like in their oil companies. it's like, they have companies with companies that have contracts with the Saudis in the oil industry and everything, and it's like, that's where that whole oil for blood program saying kind of came into play. I'm sure you've heard that. People don't really throw that term around much anymore, but that was like, when I was in my 30s, I used to hear that a lot from conservatives. They would say like the oil for blood programs kind of deal,
Right.
and but the whole thing too, it's interesting because if you ever watch Derek Grayson's videos, right, and he used to talk about how people would literally bribe him to run against some other Republican, like in a smaller district or something like that. He would always talk about how, like the level of corruption and just how tempted people get. I mean, Derek Grayson's he's the man's a purist. I mean, you could tell that you cannot buy this guy. Like if you watch him and look at him and listen to how he talks, you could probably hand him a suitcase full of money to like say betray the word of God. He ain't gonna do it. I mean, Derek Grayson is a man of principles, and we need more people like that in Washington. I mean, I don't know if he's going to run again or not. I know it's funny because he talked about it in a couple of his videos that he was actually thinking about running again, but who would he run against? I mean, would he run in his district? Would he run? I mean, I don't know. Is it possible he'd even do it?
I don't know. What I mean, well, who's in there? Well, okay, well, I thought he said he was going to run for senator again. He's going to run for Congress.
I don't know. I think he may run for senator. I mean, I haven't really, because I tell you what, the minute he puts a video out, I'm going to post it on my wall in Parlor. Get it among my base because I don't know if I have any. I don't know if I don't know if I have any followers in Georgia or not. But I know that I had some followers in North Carolina that retweeted that Mark Robinson video that I had posted in Parlor. But this is what we got to do. If we got to. I mean, if people like Grayson would just run again, or more people that have conservative values, were running, we got to get their message out. We got to help get their I'm sorry, Carl. I know I'm talking a million miles an hour. It's been a long day. I'm sorry. But we gotta. Yeah, I know. I do. Sorry, Chad. I do apologize. But if the minute I see him make a video about, and I'm always checking to see if he's making a video announcing his candidacy, because if he does, I'm getting it on my wall of Parlor, because if we can help get him elected to Congress, he'd be another pain in the butt for these rhinos and these progressive Democrats. We need people who are going to give him a hard time. I mean, it seems like a lot of people have been a little disappointed with Dan Crenshaw lately, but then you don't really hear much about Dan Crenshaw anymore.
Right.
I mean, I mean, I don't know, Carl. There's so much stuff, out there. Honestly, I don't know how you do it. I mean, I envy you for being able to, sit there and, have the knowledge, and we all got to thank Carl and thank all of our content creators for taking the time to do this for us. I mean, I try to devote some time to researching stuff when I come onto your show. I know I worked a 13-hour day, and I'm just, but. It's. I mean, we're coming down to the nitty gritty. I mean, it's already. Look at how quickly November's going by.
Right.
And the whole goal of them to impeach him is to. They don't care about impeachment. They want something that they can run, because you ask your average progressive, they think that, well, Trump's impeached, but he needs to go. No. 2/3 of the House, 3/4 of all states, and, these progressives are going to think that, well, because he's impeached, he's got to go. They can't see that. Why aren't the Democrats trying to put some ideas into a candidate that, is going to, they know they can't beat Trump in 2020.
Well, no. Well, first of all, the only person with any like creative ideas, but they're bad ideas, but they're creative, is like Elizabeth Warren.
Uh-huh.
But then when which is weird because she came up with this idea, right, the Medicare for all. But you thought, she's supposed to be so intelligent and professor and all this stuff. You thought she would already, before she says, I want to do something, you thought she would have researched it to see how much it's going to cost, how's it going to work, is logistically, is it possible, is it feasible, how are we going to pay for it, excuse me, all that stuff. But she didn't do any of that because they kept asking her, well, how are you going to pay for it? How's it going to do? And then she comes out and she says, okay, in 2 weeks, I'm going to issue a position paper to demonstrate how I'm going to pay for it. And then somebody asked her, well, shouldn't you have done that ahead of time, like first? First you examine and say, okay, I want to do this. And before you go public with it, you say, okay, I want to do Medicare for all. I think we should be able to give everybody free health care in the country, including illegal aliens, of course. We got to give everybody free health care.
Yeah.
And, there we are. And then you say, okay, staff, get your staff together. She has money. Get your staff together. Say, okay, let's figure out if this can work before we say we want to do it. But no, she didn't do any of that. Then she says, we want to do this, and then she got mad at somebody saying, well, if you're not going to come up with bold ideas and take risks, then why even run for president? Well, how about like first before you take bold ideas, how about first we see if they're going to work first? And she didn't do any of that. So then when she shows how she's going to pay for it, everybody laughs at her. Biden laughs at her. Buttigieg laughs at her.
Yeah.
Everybody laughs at her. Bill Gates comes out. He laughs at her. Bill Gates, of all people, one of those liberal people out there, he laughs at her. And then everybody, like that movie Carrie, everybody's going to be laughing at you. I mean, I was waiting for next time she's on stage, somebody's going to drop a bunch of pig blood on top of her, and then her eyes are going to light up and she's going to burn the whole room up, like in the movie, no, Carrie, oh no, Elizabeth Warren, that kind of thing. But I mean, and so now they're trampling on her. Now you have what's his face getting into the race, Bloomberg, and AJ's theory. AJ's theory on that, he's getting in to clear the way for Clinton, and I've become a believer that Clinton's going to get into the race just by, and I did kind of a deep, that one video I did on that last week, definitely inspired by him because I said I want to look into what he's talking about, what AJ's talking about. So I did a deep dive, and sure enough, it was like Clinton people all over the place. It was like, oh my God, these people they're all over the place. They're out there and they stay out there and they go on talk shows. They went on like when Philip Reines went on Tucker and said, well, I can't say she's not going to run. It's like, whoa, like holy shit, that was big. And then he's been on MSNBC and everybody else since. And, of course, the funny thing about that is, Philip Reines goes on Fox and nobody yells at him because you can't yell at Philip Reines, not unless you want to end up on a bad end of that guy. Not a good idea. But, I mean, so they have no ideas, though. They're not running on anything. And when you talk to people on the left, they say the most important thing they got to do is defeat Trump. And so I talked to a lot of people on the left, and I say, well, how about the most important thing would be to nominate a candidate with some really good ideas to make America better? And they kind of look at you like you're on the headlights. Yeah. It's like, no. I mean, tell me, if you got a candidate that's going to make my country better and make Americans better off, show me. But instead they just say, we got to get rid of this guy. Well, that's not a platform. That's one plank in the platform. Get rid of Trump. What the hell is that?
Well, the whole goal, and it's funny because what the deep state is doing is kind of a stupid strategy, if you ask me, because what they want to do is they want to focus Warren's base, Buttigieg's base, they want to focus Bernie Sanders' base, they want to focus that entire progressive base among the different candidates, and they want to focus all those votes into one candidate, Hillary Clinton, if she does run, right?
Yeah.
But there will be some people that say, wait a minute, well, let's just say some people who can at least cognitively think to some degree, right? They're going to say, like, hey, wait a minute, I supported Warren. She should have gotten the nomination, even though they said she had the primary. Why is Clinton running again? And they just may vote Trump out of anger. That's a possibility. But they want to focus, but the whole thing is, too, is that focus. See, again, they're getting caught up in their identity politics because Elizabeth Warren's base does not have the same. They have similar goals. But remember what Dinesh D'Souza said. Those that agree the most frequently go to war with each other. And that's very true in the sense of a lot of, different ideas where people. Now, war doesn't necessarily mean two standing armies, but some of Warren's base, like some of the base, like of let's say, like for example, Bernie Sanders' base. Like I know some of progressives who they like capitalism, but they want to use socialism to chip away off of some of the rough edges that capitalism doesn't come. In other words, they want they want social safety nets on a capitalist market, which we already have, right? But then you got those far left radicals who want to abolish capitalism altogether, and they want to take control. They want government to take control of the means of production, which would devastate our economy because so many regulations will be slapped in place that nobody's going to want to create any kind of wealth. Right?
Well, no. It's not right. It would be two things. One, I mean, the economy started moving under Trump when the big thing for businesses was when he started slashing regulations because the tax cuts didn't take they didn't even get the tax cuts passed till 2018. So, but him slashing the regulations, that was a big, huge thing for businesses in this country and for foreign investors.
Yeah.
They could come over here and do business without going through red tape and take 20 years to get a business started. So that was big. And then the tax cuts on top of that. That one that kept American dollars, American investors from going overseas with their money, they left it here. And two, it brought in foreign investment because we lowered the corporate tax rate to 21%. Now in Europe, the big socialist Europe, their corporate tax rate is only 15%, lower than ours. But ours at 21 is competitive with Europe's at 15 because Europe has all those unions and people get paid 6 weeks a year for paid vacation and all those kinds of crap, right? You got to deal with the Europeans. And the American worker has always been way more efficient than any other worker in the world. So we add in the increased efficiency from the American worker. Plus, you're not dealing with the 6 weeks paid vacation, all this other crap. It was competitive to do business. Now, everybody up there, every Democrat up there is talking about raising the corporate tax rate. You do that, then American dollars, unlike in the 50s where they had nowhere else to go and they had to stay here and pay those high taxes, they're going to go someplace else. They're going to go to South Korea. They're going to go to Thailand. They're going to go to Vietnam. They're going to go to India, go back to China. They're going to go to Europe. Europe, they 15% tax rate. Okay, they're gone. And then all the foreign investment that's been coming in and creating jobs, Louis Vuitton, et cetera, they're gone. They're not coming in. Why are they going to do that? So, I mean, they're see you later, have a nice day. So then all those jobs are gone, and then you're going to have unemployment going up. You're going to have more people dependent on the federal government all over again, and you're going to have another recession.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, it's working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's working. The economy is working right now, okay? And we're not doing anything stupid foreign policy-wise. We're not getting into wars and getting our guys killed. So foreign policy-wise, everything's good. Domestic economy, great. So there's no reason to change. There's no reason to change horses in midstream. Ta-da! So anyway, why would you? And when you ask people on the left that, the only thing they can say is, well, he's obnoxious, he's making us more obnoxious, and he's so crude, and this, that, and the other. It's like, well, I know, but people have jobs. Families don't have to pick up and move to another city to look for a job now. Okay, if they're moving because they got a job offer. And they're moving to a job they already have, and they got probably a few bucks from the new employer to pay for the move, or they've been working at a job right now until they got the new job, so they're able to save some money up for the move. So it's not some kind of crazy banshee move, load everything into a U-Haul truck, and leave a lot of shit behind, or hell, screw the U-Haul truck, load where you can fit into your car and drive somewhere with enough money to pay for a weekly rental until you can get enough money saved up for a first and last month on a house. Maybe, or an apartment, maybe. So, I mean, I don't care how obnoxious anybody is. If my fellow Americans don't have to pick up and move, and my fellow Americans are working and they're making good money and wages are going up, I don't care who's obnoxious, who isn't. I mean, people tell me I'm obnoxious. Well, okay.
No, you're not a Carl. Carl, you're actually the best YouTuber out there. I mean, I come to learn. I always learn something new, and it's always awesome to get to talk to you. It really is, to talk to the great Carl's opinion, And hey, I would encourage everybody to call in and talk to Carl. I mean, like James C. He brought up a couple of good points, like the voter fraud in Kentucky, right?
Yeah. I put it up there.
That governor, yeah. I mean, it's They flipped it blue, but see, then we got a bunch of conservatives who stayed home as well.
I have that pisses me off. Again, we've talked about it. You and I have talked about it so many times. The idea that you would stay home instead of going out to vote. Look, again, it's not a surprise when voting day is. They talk about it on the news. It's all over the place. I mean, make some freaking plans to go out and vote. It's not a big deal to go do it. Go vote. And these people just stay home because Trump's not at the top of the ticket. They're idiots, complete idiots, okay? So if you
Yeah.
stay home and you don't vote, you're an idiot. Period. I got no use for
Yeah.
you. Go out and vote. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's a midterm, whatever. I mean, again,
Yeah.
when it's coming up. Make some plans. You make plans to do everything else stupid. Make plans to do something smart, like go out and cast a vote. Yeah, I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
it sickens me. It sickens me beyond no end when people don't go out and vote in the midterms or the off-year elections. It just aggravates me beyond no end.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for it. There's no excuse for it.
I mean, and what's interesting too is because, like, I've been kind of posting, like, with the Young Americans Against Socialism, and some of these groups, I mean, this is, what's happening, like, say, with Young Americans Against Socialism. Morgan Zegers, who she's the CEO of the organization, right? And Brandon Strucker's walkaway movement. You have groups that are rising up on our side to combat the false lies of the narratives of these left-wing groups. But then you've got these conservatives that say, well, if I donate, is it going to go to this? And you know what? This is the same mindset. I mean, you don't have to donate your paycheck, but donate $5 or $6. I mean, you don't have to donate 10 or 12 of your life savings, but, make a point to at least, give these groups a little something, I mean,
Right.
I mean, geez. I donate to them. It puts me on the radar, but I donate to them, because I tell you what, I'm not going to be bullied by, some of these, by these, these groups. They can, let them phone call, let them call me, whatever. Guess what? Leave me a message. I will file a complaint that you guys are harassing me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that happens, but I get some weird text messages every once in a while, like, eat healthy or this or that. Yeah, sure. I know where these text messages are coming from, or I have an idea, but
Right.
anyway, that's a whole other topic for, but anyway, and that's the kind of mindset that we got to get out of. I mean, these groups, Judicial Watch, donate to Judicial Watch. They are a fantastic organization. Share their information, I mean, Carl, I'll be honest, if it wasn't for me talking to you, I wouldn't be getting out there more than I was. I remember the very first time I was a guest on your show and I blacked out my camera and I'm like, people are showing their faces, I might as well do the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't have to, you don't have to tell people who you are, but this is the kind of mindset that conservatives need to get out of doing. They need to make their voices heard. I mean, Carl, me, people like you, me, Tony Patriot, Disabled Vets Perspective, we're targets. I don't mean that, in a bad way, but, we are targets in a sense that, like, let's say if they have some kind of re-education program, we're people that ain't going to fit the bill. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't going. I ain't going to the re-education program. That's not going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm not going. No. Look. Hey, hold on. Now we are far. Okay, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. We are far away from there. Okay, so, but no,
Yeah.
I agree though. I mean, plus they got the mainstream media. They don't need to send us to a camp. They just keep, bullshitting us with this. I mean, it's not. It's not. See, like when he calls it fake news. What it actually is, it's fraudulent news. It's not fake. It's fraud. In other words, they know the truth. They intentionally mislead you. That's fraud. I mean, like when I'll read a story and I say, wait a second, wait, that doesn't make any sense. And then sure enough, 2 days later or a day later, somebody fact checks it. And then it's like, oh, that was bullshit. And then, of course, the mainstream media doesn't come up and say, oh, by the way, that story you ran 2 days ago? Okay, that was bullshit. And sorry, and don't listen to us anymore. I mean, I listened for 2 years, during the whole Mueller investigation. Again, I'll say it every Friday night. Like Mark Dye says, I watch MSNBC so you don't have to. Well, not necessarily. I just want to hear the other point of view. But when I do listen to the other point of view, I'm like, ugh. But anyway, so like every Friday night during the Mueller investigation, Brian Williams, It was on at 11 o'clock at night Eastern time, 8 o'clock my time, Pacific time. Is this every? I swear, every Friday night he'd have these guests on, and they'd have some new story that was bullshit, and they say, "Oh, is this the smoking gun?" Literally, that was his famous line: "Is this the smoking gun? This is the one that gets Trump. This is the one. The walls are closing in. The noose is tightening. We're at the tipping point." All these great, stupid little metaphors, stupid high school, newspaper metaphors, and they use them, and then they spend a whole hour talking about this terrible thing, right? Well, anyway, then the story turned out to be false. And then by Tuesday, it was dead. The story was dead. Now, Brian Williams would come on and say, "Oh, by the way, another thing we told you on Friday, yeah, that was bullshit. It didn't pan out, so ignore that." But they wouldn't. They would just let it die. And then by say, Thursday, they had a new bullshit story. And Friday night, same thing. Now, is this the smoking gun? And people who watch this, I don't know. I mean, people watch this thing for 2 years. Didn't they at some point say, "Wait a second, what happened to the story last week? Where did that go?" And now you're telling me there's a new smoking gun. But they just keep watching and go, "Oh, yeah, smoking gun. Oh, there's another one." And then, they just think, "Oh, my God, all these terrible things." And most of them turn out to be false, And, I'd research it myself and go, "Well, that's not true. That's BS." And I'm sitting there yelling at the TV set, literally like an idiot. I'm yelling at the TV set. It's like, no, that's a lie. Because, I already researched it. I'm like, "No, you're full of shit," And then Brian would do it on Friday, and then MSNBC would carry it all the way through the weekend, the Saturday morning, and all that shit. And it was like, it's like, no, I already researched it. That's BS. That's not true. And they keep just talking about it. And then they had their panelists talk about it. They all agree with it. And it's like, oh, wow. But anyway, I tell you what, it's about 9:45, been on about an hour 45 minutes. So I'm going to go and end the live stream tonight. So just stay with me for real quick. And let me get over, let's see, get over here. Bang, there I am. All right, so let me get over here.
I just wanted to say thank you, everybody in the chat, for coming over and showing support for Carl's opinion. And I always encourage anybody to call into a show. He's a great patriot. He's awesome. If you guys got a question, Carl will definitely take the time to answer it. I know I learn something every day when I come to Carl. I mean, I just wish I had the level of knowledge that Carl had to be able to, help provide better content.
Shut up. You always say shit like that, and it pisses me off. Shut up. No, you provide great perspective, great insight. You see things I don't see, so shut up. That's what we're all here for that. We all see things from different points of view, different perspective, and we can all add to the conversation. That's the whole point. I call the show Carl's Opinion, but it's like Carl's opinion and anybody else's opinion wants to call in because we all learn from each other.
Yeah.
So stop it with that. I hate when you say that. You always say that. It pisses me off. Stop it. But anyway,
I know.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna say good night, and then I'll pass it over to you. So anyway, I'm gonna say good night to everybody who's been in the chat. Thanks, a really good, intelligent chat tonight. I really enjoyed reading the comments, and I was able to put a couple of them up on the screen there. So really appreciate it. And to everybody who's been watching us, I want to say thanks. Everybody who'll be watching us later, thank you very much. I want to thank the Great Informer for calling in. Thanks again, Great Informer. And good night to everybody. And Great Informer, you want to say good night?
Yeah. Have a good night, everybody. And everyone, remember, please, if anybody can make the time to get involved on a local level, I know I say that all the time, but we have it's as real as it gets. We got socialism knocking on the front door, and we gotta keep that door closed. That's not a door we ever want to see open. I mean, support content creators. Please. Check out Young Americans Against Socialism. They're a great organization. They're trying to help educate the youth of America about the dangers of socialism. You don't have to donate to them. That's optional. But, if you guys got a following on a social media platform, please share their website, get the information out there. Do what you can. Just keep fighting the good fight.
All right, sounds good. And to everybody in the chat, I'll be over on H.A. Goodman's site later tonight to say hi to everybody and to be listening to what he has to say tonight. I'm not sure what he's going to be talking about tonight, but it's always interesting. I always like watching it. So I encourage everybody to head over to H.A. Goodman's site tonight. I don't know what time he's coming on, but when he does, I'll be there. And I encourage everybody else to go there. So, okay, guys, have a great night, and we'll see you on the next live stream. All right, take care, Mr. Great Informer. Take care, everybody else. Good night, guys. Bye-bye.
All right, have a good night.